Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be sharing with you my best tips for a flawless face. So if you guys are interested in this video, please keep on watching. Alright, so one thing I've noticed in my years of trying out makeup and doing my own makeup, I realized that a key tip for achieving a flawless makeup look is prepping your base. And what that means is prepping your skin, your face, everything underneath your makeup. And how you do that is by making sure your face is clean, you moisturize, and all those kind of things. So one thing I want to recommend is to make sure your face is moisturized. And today I'm using the Holy Hydration Hydro Gel moisturizer. This is from e.l.f. They sent it to me NPR, and I really like it because it's such a hydrating moisturizer. I've been using it literally ever since I got it. And I do have my brows already done, and I'll briefly mention why I do my brows first. I like to do my brows first because I usually conceal around them, and I feel like it just blends better when I conceal them first and then apply my foundation afterward, versus trying to blend the concealer from around my brows out after I've done my base foundation makeup. And usually I try to moisturize before I do my brows, but I was trying to figure out what video I wanted to film today. So I went ahead and did my brows off camera. So as you can see, this moisturizer is giving me like a glow, like my face is like not dry or anything like that. And you hear a lot of people talk about like a sticky primer or something that kind of makes your face tacky, and that just helps adhere. Usually if you go for a tacky primer or something that leaves your face tacky underneath your foundation, it's because you're going for a fuller coverage look. So it's kind of like priming a wall before you paint it. When you prime it, it gives it a nice clean base, but it also gives the other paint something to stick to. So that's one idea for prepping your base. Again, like I said, I encourage you to make sure your face is moisturized. If you have oily skin, you'd probably want to lean toward your prep may be a little bit different. So I have like combination normal skin, I feel like, and so I like to make sure my face is moisturized. If you have oily skin, you might want to try out where like you'll see people apply a thin layer of translucent powder on their face before they do their foundation and makeup. That's usually for your more oily skin type people. So those are your two options for our first tip, making sure the skin is prepped. Another thing, just for skincare purposes, like I encourage you to use sunscreen. One of my favorites is the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen. This is available at Sephora. And right now I'm not going outside, it's nighttime, so I'm not applying additional sunscreen right now. But another thing you can do is layer your moisturizer with a primer. So one of my favorite drugstore primers is the NYX Marshmallow Primer. And this primer right here, not only does it smell good, I love how it smells, but it gives me like a sheen, and it also gives me a nice base for my foundation to kind of stick to. It's a little bit blurring. It adds a little shine. Right, so that is my first step. Y'all see the shine, y'all see the glow. I'm looking like a glazed donut, honey, with these bat wings on my eyes. Y'all, these are the same lashes from last week. I'm probably gonna actually take them off tonight, but they lasted a whole week, so I'm just saying, try it out if you want to. But I will do a regular lash application after I remove these if I don't put some more on when I remove them. Anyway, so step 2 for having like flawless makeup is to, one, be conscious of where you place your products, how much of the products you use, and where you blend them. So you want to blend it when you place the product on your face. You want to make sure you're placing it in the place where it's supposed to go. It's almost like a coloring book where you have the numbers and like 1 is blue, so you want to draw blue in where you see a number 1. 2 is red, you want to scribble in red where you see the 2s. Like, that is how you can take that approach to blending out your makeup. So I have been applying all of my makeup to my face at one time and then blending it out, just because usually I'm moving quickly and it works, and you save a little bit product by doing that instead of just applying in layers. So what I typically like to do is use a concealer. You can use any concealer that you like. This one is the Too Faced Born This Way multi-sculpting concealer, and I'm in the shade Butterscotch. And so for concealer, I go under my eye, and honestly, I be using too much. I really don't have to use as much makeup as I do. It's just a force of habit why I use so much, honestly. Because I used to be going for a super full coverage look, and I felt like I just needed so much makeup to cover up my acne and stuff. But my skin has been improving a lot. And I know some of y'all been asking for a skincare routine. I kind of did one on IG Reels, but I'll do that for y'all if y'all want it. It's not anything crazy. Okay, so I placed that concealer right up under my eye where I want it to go because I want to lift that area. I'm also going to put some on the tip of my nose and the bridge of my nose because I want that area to, you know, be lifted. And then I'm also putting some on my chin. And I have not carved out my brows yet, so I'm gonna do that really quickly. I should have did that before applying this, but I usually cut out my brows with concealer. And so I'm just taking a brush. I always like to flatten the concealer brush so it's a little bit more precise. And then I just kind of work the product up to where my crease is and blend it out to the tail. And then bring it in at the front. Draw a thin line like that. And then I blend it out. For the top, I like to go in with my foundation color so I don't give off that highlighter brow look. And again, for my beginners, when people conceal around their brows, the idea is to give off a freshly waxed brow look. So if you ever got your brows waxed, which I never have, fun fact, the skin that's exposed from where they trim the hair or wax the hair is usually a lighter color because the wax pulls off the dead skin cells as well. So people conceal their brows, one, to clean up any messes that you might have accidentally did when you filled in your brows, but 2, to give off that freshly waxed brow look. So from here, like I said, I usually already conceal my brows, so I'm gonna go ahead and blend that out. And this is a Morphe M173 brush. I applied the concealer with the Morphe 705 brush. And I will say my favorite brushes to use are Morphe brushes. They're pricey, but they're affordable. I mean, if you want a good brush, sometimes it's gonna cost a little change. I said change like it say change, but it say change. Anyway, so I'm just using this to blend out that concealer on top. And as you can see, it looks nice and blended. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. And then, like I said, on top, I like to use my foundation. And today I'm just gonna use my Sephora. This is Sephora Best Skin Ever. Y'all already know I raved about this in previous videos where I tested out this foundation. So I'm just gonna pump a little bit on that same concealer brush, and I am going to conceal right above my brows. And this is why I like doing my brows first, because say if I had my foundation already done, I would have to more flawlessly blend out where I'm cleaning up my brows into the foundation. which before I learned how to blend, that would have been a challenge. So that's why I feel like doing your brows first, especially as a beginner, is helpful. Okay, so from here, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and place all the product on my face and then blend it out. You can blend them step by step, in which I would start with foundation or like your bronzer first, versus I usually try to go dark to light if I'm doing one thing at a time. And if I'm applying it all at once, I'll go dark to light, blending it out. And so that's a part of my second tip, being conscious of where you place your makeup, how much makeup you put in that place, and blending it out respectively. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my L'Oreal Paris. This is the Infallible Full Wear Concealer. And this is in the shade Cocoa 420. L'Oreal, if you're watching, please send your girl some more because I need some more. I'm running out. But anyway, so I like to take this for bronzing / contouring. I can do a whole video on that if you guys are interested. But I say bronze / contour because it's giving a little both. Contouring is giving me shadows back in my face. Bronzing is warming up my face, giving it more of a sun-kissed look. So that's what we're doing. So I'm just gonna apply this like right above the hollow of my cheekbone on both sides. So this is where I want to keep it. So I know that like I can blend this down further, because if you drag it all the way down here, you're gonna have way too much product, and then it's gonna start blending up into where you want your concealer to be. So that's why you just want to be conscious of where you place it and how much you place it. So now I am doing my nose, and I put the full strip on my nose because it's gonna blend. It has a big job to do. It's gonna help narrow my nose, but it's also gonna kind of blend the bridge of my nose from this part of my face all the way to this side, because I'm not putting foundation on the sides. So that's why I have a larger amount. Honestly, like I said, I don't need as much that I have on right now. So you definitely can use less to achieve this look. Now I do go in a bit heavy on my forehead when it comes to bronzer, just because one, I have a rather large forehead in my opinion, which is why I do the crown all the way across. And two, I don't put really any foundation on my forehead unless I substitute it for this concealer, because by the time I blend this out, it's gonna blend all the way down to about here, and by the time I blend the concealer out, it's gonna blend straight into that bronzer. And so you really don't need to waste additional product trying to cover your forehead, because it's already gonna give coverage. Same reason why there's no need to put foundation on your nose. One, the more foundation on your nose, the more cakey your look comes off. Same with your forehead. That's what I've learned in the past, or what I've noticed as far as my makeup. So this is how I like to keep it. I don't bronze right here under my jawline, just because I already have, like, I have a small neck and my face is very like narrow and my jawlines are fairly defined. So if you have more of a round face and you want to give a more chiseled look, that's when you would add some of this down here. So totally up to you, your face shape, how you prefer your face to look. That's the whole magic behind contouring, bronzing. And so next, I am going to show you guys where I place my foundation, and I'm just going to use that same concealer brush. And as you can see, I'm flexing between my concealer and foundation on this same brush, because, like, one, this is a very functional brush. To avoid buying two, you can utilize the same brush to blend and apply your makeup. Now obviously I pretty much did all of my concealing first before I used this brush for anything darker. So I did the under eye first with the lighter concealer before I applied, or I defined under my brow first with the lighter concealer before I went in and defined the top of my brows with the foundation because it's darker. So if you're gonna use the same brush, you wanna always work light to dark, because if you use it for darker colors and then go to blend out lighter colors, that darker color is gonna bleed into the lighter color. Versus if you blend out the lighter color first, when you go to blend out the darker color, yeah, there might be some of the lighter colors still left, but it's just gonna help smooth the canvas a little bit more. It's almost like those oddly satisfying videos where you see like 4 dots of paint, but when they blend it out and as the colors start blending together, it looks like a nice gradient. That's pretty much what you're doing when you're using the same brush applying your makeup. So I really only apply makeup to this bottom section right here of my face, because this right now, I'm not gonna lie, baby, my skin look good, but usually I have had a lot of jawline acne, and so this is the area where I felt like I needed coverage the most. So I put my foundation all here, and then I also had a lot of acne right here, the apples of my cheeks. So sometimes I'll bring this bronzer and my foundation up into my cheek area. So I'm gonna go ahead and put one full pump, which, like I said, I do not need a full pump. And I'm going to start placing this. Let's see if we can use the full pump across my entire face. So I did 4 lines on this side of foundation. And I did 4 lines on the other side. And then I'm just gonna do a line here and here, and that is simply because, like I just said, I like to have a little bit more coverage here and there. That's 3 things that makes up my whole base makeup for the most part. So you have your concealer, your bronzer / contour, and then your foundation. As far as blush, I like to apply blush after I see what I'm working with after blending this out. Sometimes I will go in and go ahead and put blush like right here on the apples of my cheeks, but for beginner purposes, I want to show you what this looks like, how to blend it out, and then if you want to add blush, you can always do that after you blend out this base coat. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, this is all we blending out. So I know this second point has a lot in it, but we showed you where to place it. We showed you how much to place. And now we're going to show you how to blend it respectively. And what that means is just what order do you blend in. So for me, I like to blend from dark to light because I just feel like it gives me more control of where my face is going and how this canvas is about to come to life, okay? And so I'm using, this is the Morphe E63 brush. I really like it because it's like this dense, angled brush, and I feel like it fits perfectly right here where my cheek is at, like that. And so I like to blend it up. The way you blend it all depends on the shape of your face. If you have like, typically you don't want to blend down because that's going to drag your face down. Unless you're trying to elongate your face, like blending down is not going to make you look lifted, I guess. So what I like to do is I just go ahead and blend upwards like this, and I do like a pressing sweep upwards like that. And then I also go ahead and blend into the hairline, because that's another area of demarcation that is very common that we don't think about when blending our makeup. You gotta blend into your hairline, and when you wash your face, you gotta wash in that hairline too. And so like you can drag this down a little bit. I get a lot of questions about, do you blend your makeup to your neck? Now I typically don't. This right here is a little bit darker because it's my bronzer shade. So I typically don't blend down to my neck because I don't want it to get on my shirt. That's just me. So you might see a little line, like you might see a little gradient. That's what I say. I prefer a gradient over a straight line, so you can blend like down a little bit, but just let that thing just be a gradient. And don't be super hard on yourself, because unless it's very obvious that your face and neck are two separate colors, which that can be the case. Skin is unique for everyone. So if your face is significantly different and you want them to match, then yes, feel free to blend down into your neck. But for me, I'm okay with it just being like a gradient. So like your face is naturally probably gonna be darker just because that's what's forefront to the sun when you go outside. Neither here nor there, but yes. So I start blending my darker shade out. And so this is why I like bronzing more than contouring, because, well, it just depends on your vibe. I like a nice warm look. In the like flawless face makeup that you see nowadays is usually like this warm look. So again, I'm just blending. And so as I'm moving up, I blend it into my hairline this way. When I'm up here, I like to push it and kind of back my brush into my hairline, but I'm brushing the makeup downward because I want that to meet the center of my forehead where I have this concealer. And the more I blend the bronzer downward, it's making my forehead appear smaller, versus if you had this concealer shade going all the way up to my widow's peak, my forehead will look bigger. So you see how that is just blending, and you want to take your time. So now I'm gonna do the sides of my nose, and I'm using the same brush, but really there's a better brush to do this with. It's called a contour brush, but honestly, you can use whatever brush you want. Okay, so from here, I like to go ahead, like I said, we're blending out from dark to light. So the next thing up is my foundation. And this is the Morphe M439 brush. I really like this brush. It reminds me a little bit of the NYX buffing brush that I tell you guys that I love. Very dense. This one is a little bit more dense and it's a little bit shorter and more compacted. But any brush that looks like this, like, I'm probably gonna like it. So here I'm just tapping in, and I'm starting like towards my jawline. Like I said, you can blend that down if you like. I usually don't be doing all this because depending on what I'm wearing, I don't want all that makeup on my neck, but it's giving gradient, so it looks fine. So I'm just pushing it in, and then as I get to where my bronzer is, I just push upward right at the bottom. So kind of like blending out the edges, essentially. And so then I can go ahead and take this up here on my cheek where I put that little bit of foundation for extra coverage. And so as I'm blending, this is where tip number 3 comes in. So tip number 3 is to use your foundation brush and blend over everything, to help blend over everything. So because you will have leftover foundation on your brush, you should have no like issue with harsh lines when you use your foundation brush to like blend everything out. So you see my bronzer is there, but there's no harsh line. That's because I'm blending over the edges with this foundation brush. And we're gonna do the same thing on this side. Blend up into that ear too. So after here, when I get to this point, I go ahead and blend out my chin. My chin and my forehead are the only 2 areas that I blend out with my foundation brush, just because I want it to blend well and I don't need it to be super bright. Versus my under eye, I like that to be a little bit more bright. So I'm gonna take this brush and just blend out around the edges this concealer like that. So it's like blended, but it's still giving the highlight that I needed to give. Same thing right here. Again, I'm using the foundation brush. I wouldn't recommend doing this with the bronzer brush because it still has that darker shade versus this, which has foundation on it, which is kind of what's helping blend your whole face. So at this point, if I feel like my forehead needs a little bit dulling down, that's when you'll go back with the bronzer brush and kind of go over the edges and kind of get it how you want it to look. So now the last thing left is the bridge of our nose, and as you can see, after we blended out the bronzer, like the concealer just kind of fades away. So this one I just like to tap with my foundation brush to make sure everything's well blended, the sides of my nose, and just leave it like that. And then for my under eye, I like to go in with a sponge to blend out my under eye. Now you might be like, well, why did you use a brush and not a sponge for your whole face? I like to apply my makeup with brushes just to get it on the canvas, and then after that I can blend it out with a sponge. So your sponge is going to absorb, I'm using it damp, and your sponge will absorb some of that product. So you want to get your fullest coverage by applying it with the brush first, and then allow the sponge to pick up any excess product. It's kind of like when you fry chicken and you take it out and you sit it on a paper towel to absorb some of the excess grease. It's like that. So you apply your makeup and stuff with a brush, and then you want to use your sponge to absorb the excess product that you don't necessarily need on your face, help kind of blend it all together nice and smoothly. And so for my under eye, I'm going to take the pointier side of the sponge and just press it in the area that it's in. So you don't want to go in and just start dragging it all the way to your ear, because that's gonna spread out your concealer potentially further than you want it to go. You want to keep it right here where it's placed, and then when I get to the corner of the eye, I turn the point inward and I push like this to the inside. So I'm not dragging it out any further, but I'm still blending it out, but I'm keeping it right here in the area that I want it to be in. Yeah, my lashes, like I said, they on their wits end, but they long, so I gotta hold them out the way. Okay, and so you see that nice and blended, and then you can flip and use the flatter side of the sponge or the butt end of the sponge and blend the edges out like that. And you can also do that on the side of the nose to blend everything together. And then afterward, I like to go ahead and just blend the edges and everything else with the butt end of the sponge. This is also how I feel like you achieve a more skin-like finish. Okay, so from here we have a nice glowy bomb makeup look. So if you want to add blush, you can at this time. Before I add any like powder, I like to go ahead and add my liquid blush if I use like a liquid or cream blush. Lately I've been loving the Item Beauty cream blush, and it says, this one's in the shade It's Verified, and this one actually, it says it's a cream blush, but it's giving cream powder vibes in the pan. Like it's like powder to cream, kind of. I don't know how to describe it, but I go ahead and take this and I put them right there where I want the blush to go. And then another thing with a nice flawless makeup look, you need to know like where you're going and like how long until you get there, how long you're going to be there, because that's going to play into how you set your face. So if I just wanted to do my makeup like this, and then like I'm going on a date or something, like I'm not going to heavily set it. If I want to take pictures of my makeup, I'm not going to heavily set it. If I'm going somewhere, I'm going to a football, basketball game, and I need to be set and I'm gonna be sitting there for hours, then you want to set it a little bit more. And so I love my tried and true Laura Mercier setting powder, and so I'm gonna use that today. And so basically for the shorter amount of time I'm gonna wear it, or like the quicker I need to be presentable, I'll use less powder to retain the shine and the glow. The longer I'm gonna be someplace, like if I'm going to a football game or something, like I am packing my setting powder on and I'm gonna like set it. So right now I'm just using a brush, and I like to use a brush to set my makeup if I'm going for a lightweight set. I just press the powder underneath, and you want to just blend that powder out. Like you don't want any harsh lines when you're putting it there. Just blend it out on all the edges like that. And so it looks flawless and not like a harsh line from baking. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. Make sure you get all the way up under that eye. Bring it up on the side of the nose. And bring it out. And so you can use this same setting powder to set like your chin, the other glossy areas. You don't, depending on, like I said, depending on where you're going, you might not even need to set your entire face. If you just going on a quick little bop. So I'm setting here because this is the area where you just be looking like you ate some chicken grease. So I like to set that area. It gives you a more full coverage look as well. That's setting right on the side of the mouth. And then also setting right in this forehead area. And I do like to set my eyelids if I'm not gonna put any like eyeshadow on. Okay, so from here, like this is a nice, I'm just using, I didn't apply any more powder and I'm just pressing on top of the rest of my face just to seal the deal a little bit, I guess. And so this is pretty much all the setting you need to do for a quick face. If you going somewhere quick, this is what I would do like to set my face. Like that's pretty much it. Make sure you set around the mouth, and then you pretty much ready to go. Put your setting spray on, your lip gloss, you good. When I like to do a little bit extra, or if I'm going somewhere that's gonna be I'm gonna be there a longer period of time, that's when I bring in my other powders. So if you want a bronzing powder to bronze like your face a little bit more, or to set your bronzer, that's when this kind of powder bronzer comes into play. I also like using this on my eyelids just for a flush of color. So I just put this in my crease and on my lid. And you can also use this if you want to define where you contoured your nose. If you want to define it some more, this is your time to shine with the powder. So, yes. Okay, so I kind of talked through tip number 4 without saying tip number 4, but tip number 4 is to blend, blend, blend. So you want to keep blending until it look blended. Like you don't want to just put it on there, lather it through and keep it pushing. Like you want to make sure you blend your foundation. That's why 9 times out of 10, if you just sit and you practice with your makeup and you like take your time doing your makeup, I promise you it probably will come out 10 times better than when you just like throwing it together in a rush. Anytime I sit down and just plan my makeup, like right now, my face looks flawless. But if I'm ever like in a rush, like, oh, I gotta film, I need to do this real quick, do that real quick so I can do this and do that, it'd be like it's not blended, it looks a hot mess. And so just take your time and blend, and that goes for your powders too. And when I say blending out your powders, that's making sure when you set under your eye there's no harsh powder line, because that's going to be harder to blend out when you're baking. And I learned that over time because I be having a harsh line sometimes when I be baking too much and not blending my powder out. And so another thing I like to recommend is an all over face powder. So this is the Sephora Micro Smooth Powder. I've been using her for a long time, a long periodically time. And this is my e.l.f. powder brush. This is the little clear stem brush. Love this brush because one, it is huge. It was a little pricey and I didn't want to pay for it, but I bought it and I really love it because I just swirl that in my all over face powder and I'm able to just set my entire face. And by using an all over face powder, which is essentially should be the same shade as your foundation, this helps blend everything together, just like before when we were using the foundation brush with the leftover product to blend out the edges. This does the same thing with powder. So you can like slightly dust under your eye, like blend out everywhere else, set your entire face, do all of that, and that helps blend everything together. And then last but not least, my tip number 5 is to let it set. So make sure you use whatever setting spray. So typically I love a good setting spray that mists like that versus one that more so squirts, because if you use a setting spray that squirts like water droplets, then you might see water droplets on your face. So that's why I love recommending sprayers or misters like the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. So like it's mist, so it shouldn't leave water droplets like a sprayer would. So the way I apply my makeup is usually liquid, powder, spray. That's how I apply my makeup. So it's like, okay, the same way you would put a liquid eyeshadow primer on and then apply your eyeshadow, that's kind of like how it is with my whole base makeup. So I apply my liquid products, then I apply my powder products, and then after that you set it with a setting mist. And why you do that is because it helps those powders kind of, I don't want to say activate, but it helps melt them into your skin, in my opinion. Not that it actually melts into your skin, but it helps the makeup just kind of melt in and like everything just come together, chef's kiss. And so that's why I feel like my makeup looks really good right now. It has a nice sheen, like it's not too powdery. Like this is the look that the girls be going for, okay? And another thing, if you're setting heavily with powder because you're going somewhere for a long time, remember to let the natural oils in your face settle in. That's a big thing, because you know, like when you first get your hair braided and it be super tight, but then like maybe 2 weeks later it loosened up just the right amount. It still look fresh, but it ain't hurting. It looking good. Or like day 4, day 5 hair, it be looking good. That's the same thing with makeup. Like when you first do it, it's gonna be signed, sealed, delivered, but you got to give it an hour so your skin and your natural oils can start to kick in. And like that is probably prime time when your makeup gonna look good. You're gonna be glowing because you're gonna have a little dew coming in with those natural oils. Like let it set. So if you do your makeup like for a photo shoot or something, try to time that sucker out so like you ain't shooting as soon as you finish your makeup. Like usually if you go into an event, you done did your makeup, and then you know, do hair, whatever, and maybe like by the time you drop to the venue and you get there, it done been an hour, I bet you as soon as you pull up, your makeup gonna look bomb. And you will be taking selfies and all that. So let it set in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's longer than I wanted to make it, but I wanted to make sure I shared helpful tips for you guys because I want y'all to achieve y'all flawless face too, okay? Nobody told me how to do it, so I'm gonna tell y'all how I do it, and hopefully y'all think my face looks flawless. I think it looks pretty good. I need to do like, you know, a lip or whatever. Hold on one second, because I know y'all gonna ask about this lip combo. I use the Makeup by Mario Master Pigment Pro pencil. This is the Perfect Brown as a lip liner, and I use the NYX Butter Gloss in Madeline. Yes, this lip combo is giving, I ain't gonna lie. I also did a little lower lash mascara because since these lashes are so thick and like a statement lash, I use the e.l.f. Big Moon Mascara. So I always like to do lower lash mascara if the top lashes are heavy, so my lower lash don't look bare. But anyway, that's all I have for y'all in this video. I hope you guys are able to achieve your flawless face with my 5 tips. Let me know if you tried out any of these tips and if they were helpful in the comment section below. I love y'all dearly. Make sure you also comment below which videos you all want to see next from me. So I love you guys so very much. Thank you for tuning in, and y'all never forget, at the end of the day, without regrets, love yourself and be you. Tipple. Bye y'all. It's Slim Reshae.